Good afternoon, welcome back to Gib84 Gaming. This is going to be my games of 2022. So it's this year I took part in the 52 game challenge with a bunch of other people, and this is the games that I did in that challenge, plus more going after the 52 game challenge. So just diving straight in, I'll try and mention people as I go through them. Some people inspired me to play games, some people gave me some games to play, and yeah, I'll try and go mention people as I go. So the first game that I played at the beginning of the year was Down the Rabbit Hole, which was for the VR. It's a lovely little VR game, kind of a platforming kind of game. A lot of it did remind me of Moss for the VR, so you're kind of in control of the wee girl looking for her cat, but it's like you're controlling her and you're looking down on this diorama of different levels and things like that. It's really cool. It's a game that I think Jen from Retro Rivals would enjoy, because I know that she enjoyed Alice Madness Returns, and she likes her VR as well, so I think maybe she would like that game as well. That's definitely recommend this game. Pretty cheap as well. So Down the Rabbit Hole. Second game I played was Painkiller on the PC. This is just a good throwback to like the old kind of PC gaming back in the day, like just balls hard kind of first person shooter. It's really cool. There's a really cool weapon in it, which is the shotgun, but it's kind of it freezes the enemies first and then you shoot them and they smash into millions of little pieces. It's just really cool. But that's a really good game, that. Next one was Assassin's Creed Origins. This was a gift from Feed Me Chicken. I really enjoyed this, really enjoyed this. I haven't played many Assassin's Creed games. I've played Black Flag was my first one, which I absolutely loved, and then I got Valhalla last Christmas, and I really enjoyed Valhalla. But this one was brilliant as well, and there was still, when I was playing it, there was a secret mission, like a hidden mission, which was tied into Final Fantasy XV, and that was still in there. So you got like the machine blade from doing that mission, and you got a chocobo kind of mount for Bayek. It was really cool game. I'm still on the lookout for Odyssey. I think Odyssey would be good, but I mean these games are massive games. This one and Valhalla in particular, massive games. So Odyssey would be a cool one to play as well. The next one I played was Jet Set Radio Future. This is brilliant. Obviously it was first released, the original one, sorry, was first released on the Dreamcast, and that's the kind of game that kind of drew me into cel-shaded games. Like, I love cel-shaded games. I think they're just absolutely brilliant. I can't fault them, but this was really cool. My disc was a little bit temperamental, so it would kind of crashed now and again, but I did manage to finish the game, so I was really chuffed with that. Music, as you'd expect, is brilliant. This is a game that I was going to trade Paul at Northerner, but I told him, like, back, because this was quite early in the challenge, I told him that if it was still a game he needed by the end of the year, then I'll trade him it for a game, but he bloody got it already, so this is going to stay in the collection. Next one is Fear. So these games are really good. I need to play the other ones actually, but this one was really cool. Who was it that mentioned? I think it was Heaps of Games. I think he mentioned this at one point. And I think the third game started to go for a little bit of money, but I think it's kind of calmed down now. There was this kind of big, not a big, but a kind of implosion of 360 games going up in price. And this was one of them, or the third one, I can't really remember, but it's a cool game. Next one is Last Guardian. So being a Sony pony, I have to play these PlayStation exclusives because they're absolutely brilliant. And this is obviously the third one in the kind of series with Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, and then you had The Last Guardian. This game was in development hell for years. I'm sure this was meant to be a PS3 game, and it just never ever got finished for the PS3, so it kind of moved on to the PS4 and they finally finished it, and I loved it. I thought this was a great game. A cool story with the big beastie, big Trico, and then you just kind of, it shows you kind of how it all began, and then at the end, oh, the end's quite sad actually, but really good game. I saw, I think Pete Fighter, he had, I think he showed me a picture and he had a little kind of what do you call them, kind of, it wasn't a plushie, but it was a wee kind of knitted Trico, and it was pretty cool. But that's a good game, that. Next one I did was Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U. Class game, absolutely brilliant. Just mad, batshit action with the sexy witch. I got Bayonetta 3 this Christmas, so I'm looking forward to playing that. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, and I'm looking forward to playing the third one actually. Like the music and everything is just absolutely, it's just all out madness. It's really cool. Second Sight. This is a Jolly Slasher. One of his favourite games. I played this, really enjoyed it. The thing when I was playing this, I was expecting, I was just waiting for like comic value and like humour and everything, but it doesn't really come, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be quite a funny game, but obviously it was a kind of psychological kind of, not horror, but psychological action kind of game. It's really good, brilliant graphics because it's got the kind of time splittery kind of look to it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a really cool game. I was just expecting like some laughs with it, but there wasn't any. It was just really good, really cool story, kept you gripped. This one, Shadows of the Damned for the 360. Love this. This is absolutely brilliant. Like, it's just, again, it's one of those kind of batshit mad, all out action kind of games. It's really good. One of my favourite bits is actually, it's not even noteworthy, but it's just like, there was these kind of slugs that you had to shoot, and then the light came on their heads and it showed you through like a dark kind of area. You found them a couple of times in the game, but I just loved shooting them, and just the music was just kind of cool. But there's also like a really nice Evil Dead kind of throwback, Evil Dead kind of, what's the word, I can't even think of the word now. Homage to Evil Dead, a wee bit in it. That was really cool. But yeah, it's made by the director of Resident Evil and actually the sound director of Silent Hill, so it's really cool. Mental game. Another one from mentioned by heaps of games is Wario Land, the Shake Dimension. This is brilliant. It's really nice and colourful 2D platformer that utilises the Wii remotes. You have to kind of shake it to open up chests and things like that. I'm not a big fan of Wii controls and motion controls and things like that, but if they're done well, then I don't mind them. I don't like jumping about. I'm just not that active, to be honest. But this is really nice. The thing that I liked about this was the kind of the intro and things like that. It just seemed like a Saturday morning kind of cartoon from back in the day. Really nice presentation, cool game that. The next one I played was Front Mission Evolved. It does exactly what it says in the tin. It's like a big mech battler kind of game, third person. It is a good game. It's not going to set your world alight, but I really wanted to play a front mission game, and I couldn't really be bothered with a what you call it, tactical RPG. Like sometimes they get a little bit too in depth, and I just wanted to play a game where I was shooting robots and stuff. And this fitted the bill. I did enjoy this. Next one I played was Panzer Dragoon Saga on the Sega Saturn. So obviously this is a repro I got from, where did I get this from? Resurrection Games. So it was James Games on Birdroom who sent me across to Resurrection Games, and I got a couple of games actually from there. But this is one game that was on the bucket list that I've always wanted to play. I really did enjoy this. It's not anywhere near worth like the 300 or 400 or £500 it goes for these days. That's just mental crazy prices. The game isn't a great game. It's a good game. It's a very good game. But there's not enough in it to make it worth it. There's no game worth £500. be clear on that actually. But I really did enjoy this, and if you have a chance to even get this in a repro, that's the route I would go. I wouldn't go paying mad money for it. It's just not feasible, to be honest. Another one, I think this one was recommended by Mark as well, Geordie Slasher. I think Eddie as well played this. It's Singularity. This is brilliant. It's absolutely class. It really reminds me of like back in the day, Bioshock and things like that. It's got that. It's a first-person shooter, but it's very narrative driven. And I think it was Mark made the point that these games kind of fell by the wayside because obviously during this time it was all about Modern Warfare, Call of Duty. Everything was Call of Duty and everything had to be online, everything had to be this and that and the next thing. And this one came out and it was a single player, very much in the vein of like a Bioshock, like a very narrative driven game. Brilliant, absolutely loved it. I loved going on the island, finding out the history of what was going on, and it was just really, really cool. It really sucked me in, this one. Class game. Next one, not so good, is Resident Evil Dead Aim. I didn't really mind it. Like you're on, so it takes place in a boat. It's got the virus on it as well. Like it's all just obviously Resident Evil kind of tropes that's littered throughout the game. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. I don't think Resident Evil games are suited to like a light gun game because I don't know. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel scary. It didn't feel tense. Yeah, it's not. It wasn't one for me. But I wanted to finish it anyway, and I enjoyed it for what it was. But as a Resident Evil game, it's not brilliant. But it's cool because it's got some like, you know, like the kind of files and the kind of yeah, the files, the lore. It kind of touches on Resident Evil 2 and the aftermath of the Raccoon City. So yeah, not great. Another one that I got from Lee's Swap Shop, Retro Chef's Swap Shop, and this came from Lee near the Geezer ages ago. It's Roll Cage. This is brilliant, absolutely fantastic. I played through the campaign, finished the campaign on the kind of default setting, normal setting, and then I went to play it again on hard, and it was just far too hard. It was just, it's just insane because like one little touch from an AI vehicle and you just go spinning like out of control. It's a tough game. I did manage to do it normal, so that was enough for me to see the credits and count it as finished. Horizon Forbidden West. Absolutely outstanding game. I'm kind of on the fence whether I prefer this or the first one. The first one obviously I think the story is a lot better because it was all about discovery and discovering this new world and and even the Aloy discovering what she was and her destiny and blah 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 and all that sort of stuff. Whereas in this one, Aloy kind of annoyed me a little bit because she was a bit of a know-it-all. She was a bit of like she's seen it all, she knows everything and blah blah blah. That really kind of annoyed me. But the gameplay of it is a lot better than the first game. It's very true to the first game as well, but I just think it kind of adds, obviously it adds flying to it. It's got a couple of new weapons and things like that. The graphics are outstanding, absolutely outstanding, especially when you get to the kind of big water levels and things like that. It's just absolutely brilliant. It's one that I do want to kind of go back to it again now that we've got a PS5, because you can play it on the PS5, so I think that would be really cool. So I will go back to Horizon one day. Forbidden West, sorry. In fact, what is it? The Burning Shores. The Burning Shores is coming out, I think, next year. So yeah, I'll definitely go back to that. Next one was No Straight Roads. Really enjoyed this. This is such a nice. It's got that kind of cel shaded almost kind of graphics with vibrant colours, great music, fantastic music. At first I thought it was just going to be like a rhythm kind of game, but it's not. It is an actual kind of platforming game. It's really, really cool. I know that Eddie at Rollercoaster started playing it, but he fell off it, I think. But yeah, I would definitely recommend getting back on that because it is really, really cool. Next one was Lost on the 360. Not a great game, however I did enjoy the programme back in the day. It's one of the only kind of programmes that I watched and that I was really invested in, and I couldn't wait for the next episode, and it always left my bloody cliffhanger and you had to wait another bloody week to watch it. But for that reason I enjoyed the game. It's not a great game though. It's yeah, it's just one of them if you like the programme, and I think because it adds a new kind of story and a new survivor, and it's quite cool. It's alright, it's not, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but unless you like the programme. The next one, so this one was years and years and years in the making for me to complete. I've been playing it all the time throughout the years, and it's Wipeout, the Omega Collection. So I managed to finish off all the campaigns in this, so that's why I counted it as a completion. This is one game that I do play in VR a lot. Whenever the VR goes on, whenever it gets set up, I'll always jump on and have a couple of races in this, and I'll play Tetris Effect and things like that, just kind of throwaway kind of games. But I love this. I loved Wipeout. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's the best kind of futuristic racer out there. I know there's a lot of people who think that would put F-Zero above Wipeout. I just think that's nonsense. I don't think it's I think Wipeout is the king of the futuristic racers. It's brilliant. Next one again is from Retro Chef Swap Shop, and this one came via Champion 2D Rob, and it's Star Wars Dark Forces. This game is a lot harder than I remember it being. Like I had this game many years ago when me and my brothers had our collection when we were younger, and we got it from our Uncle Glenn. It was class. I mean, there's loads of different there's a load of different returning characters. You've got Boba Fett in there, you've got Big Jabba the Hutt as well. It's just class, it's just so good, but it's a lot bloody harder than I remember. The sound effects are class. There's so many little bits in it that when I was playing it again this year, that just kind of took me back to like when we were younger, and yeah, loved it. Star Wars Dark Forces. Next one, Rise of the Tomb Raider. Brilliant games. This is obviously I think this is the second one in the reboot trilogy, and then it's Shadow, if I'm right. So you had Tomb Raider, then you had Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think, and then you had Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So I started to play Shadow. I played this one and played the original one as well. Brilliant games, and it's quite fitting to see the kind of full circle that kind of PlayStation have gone on as well. I think actually Tomb Raider debuted on the Saturn, but then it went to PlayStation and it really found its footing in PlayStation. You got loads of PlayStation Tomb Raider games, and then when it came to PlayStation 3, there was a bit of a trend in some of the kind of games that they all had to do something different. And then I think Uncharted was obviously inspired by Tomb Raider, but then Uncharted inspired Tomb Raider to go this way. Anyway, talking nonsense, Tomb Raider class games, these are brilliant, the reboots are fantastic. This next one here is this is a UK crowd, I'm pretty sure UK crowd, Andy. I'm sure this is his favourite game of all time. It's Shadow of Memories, and I did enjoy it somewhat, but I think I was just playing it. I think I was lost. It was lost on me because I didn't appreciate it as much as I probably should have. It's a kind of murder mystery game where you've got to find out who killed you, and you kind of go back in the past and things like that and piece it all together. I think it was lost on me a little bit. I can see why it's a good game. Maybe I need to give it another try. But yeah, I was underwhelmed by it, but it was okay. Next one is a PSP game, SpiderMan Web of Shadows. I really do like Marvel stuff. There's a DC game in here that I preferred over this actually, to be fair. I didn't mind this, I just felt it was a bit bland and a bit boring. I think the PS3 or the Xbox 360 counterpart would be a lot better, to be honest. But this one I just found a wee bit boring. I thought the levels were uninspired. I don't know. It didn't grab me that much, and I thought I would love it, and I didn't really. Next one, Dishonored II, class game. Marcus, Dad and Lads put me onto the Dishonored games. I played the first one last year, so I played the second one this year, and I'm pretty sure Tommy said it was it his favourite game ever, or was it one of the games he went back to? I can't remember what the video was, but yeah, it was absolutely class. I mean, the one part that really sticks out for me is the bit in the, I can't remember the guy's name, but it's in his mansion, and it's a big clockwork mansion, so it all kind of moves around, and it's just class. It's just brilliant kind of level design. I loved it. Yeah, Dishonored game, really good. But I played as Corvo, so I need to play through as Emily. Is it Emily the other person? Yeah, Emily. So I didn't play Emily, I played as Corvo, because Corvo's class. Next one is a game from Goldtooth. So he sent, it was a wee while ago, I sent him a couple of the Xbox games that he was after. Just because I'm not really collecting much Xbox. I've got a few Xbox, but anyway, he sent me this game here that's absolutely brilliant, and a brilliant gift, a brilliant kind of part exchange kind of thing. I was so chuffed with it. It's Intrepid is it? Brilliant little game, and it's just so cool to get a new Dreamcast game in 2022. It was just brilliant. I really enjoyed it. The graphics are nice artwork, nice music. It was just really cool. I wonder if they were going to do. I wonder if they'll do some more in that Intrepid Izzy stuff, because there was, as good as it was, I felt like they could have done more, or there's more to do with the kind of IP of Intrepid Izzy. I think they could do more. They could do more moves and things like that. So we'll see if they do any more of that. The next one is Songbird Symphony. So this one's still sealed because I got it on the store and it was really cheap, like £2 on the store. And at this moment of shooting this video, it's only $1.39 on the eShop, the Switch store. And at that price, it's an absolute bargain, a steal of a game. It's so nice. It's got beautiful kind of graphics. The music is amazing in it, and it's kind of like a 2D platformer with rhythm elements. You have to do like oh my god, button presses to the rhythm to beat bosses and things like that. It's absolutely class. It's a great little game. I'm pretty sure it was Ross Bahaha who put me onto this one actually. I'm pretty sure it was. Next one is Xbox One game, Rise Son of Rome. I'm sure it was a Retro Chef that put me onto this one this time. Brilliant game, absolutely fantastic. This is exactly the kind of game that I love, like a game that's it's a one and done game, but it would be really cool to play it again. Like, I don't think it would lose its value, to be honest. I don't mean monetary value, I mean gameplay value. I really did enjoy it. Yeah, it's a big blockbuster, great graphics, brilliant storyline. The storyline's absolutely class. And yeah, I would definitely recommend that. And I'm pretty sure that only cost me like £1 or something. Like, that's a pound well spent right there. Next one was a recommendation from Feed Me Chicken. So he is Get Even. He platinumed this game. So it was really good. It's kind of, I really like the kind of it's kind of like a walking simulator with first person shooting. That might sound silly, but it's not got a heavy emphasis on the shooting, and it's not got a heavy emphasis on the kind of walking simulator part. It's just a really good story told through the character's eyes. But the really cool thing that I liked about it was the kind of level select screen. You're like in an interview room, and then there's like you know, in the kind of movies you get the kind of clock boards, and it's got all the pictures on it and things like that, like an investigation. So there's loads of different boards scattered around, and that's your kind of levels, and you go up to the board and it tells you how many case files you found in that level, or how many, what your accuracy was and things like that. So it's just a really cool designed game. I really like this. Good recommendation there from Feed Me Chicken. This is the DC game I was talking about a wee while ago, and it's Batman Brave and the Bold for the DS. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, much better than the Spider-Man game I played, which is a shame because I prefer Marvel over DC. But this is just brilliant. It's very, very colourful. You've got all your different characters in there. And recently I got my last pickups video, Brave and the Bold for what do you call it? The Nintendo Wii. So I got it for the Wii in a bundle from Eddie, Roller X Squad. So if I connect this to the Wii, I get to control, who is it, Batmite. Control Batmite in the Wii version by linking it with the Nintendo DS version. So a new Wii character you get if you own both games. So that's really cool. Next one here I played on the Rare Replay compilation on the Xbox One, and it's Jet Force Gemini. What to say about this? I didn't mind the game. The thing is with like Rare games, especially back in the N64 kind of days, is they're just massive collectathons, and like you have to do everything in it, and it was very grating. I didn't have that much fun with it, to be honest, but I had to get it done. I had to finish it, even though it was one of those games that I just wanted finished so I could move on. I didn't mind it though, it was okay, but it was a slog. Next one is a Retro Ghetto recommendation, and it's Max Payne 3. Fantastic game, absolutely brilliant. Heaps of games as well. He also mentioned this. I think did he do a retrospective on the trilogy, or was it the first two? But I can't remember. But Max Payne 3 is fantastic. Brilliant story. And obviously it follows Max Payne. But he's not he doesn't have very good luck. You know, he's quite a badass, but he's an absolute shocking bodyguard, and you have to play the game to kind of appreciate that comment. Next one is a classic side-scrolling beat 'em up. Is that what they're called? Yeah, beat 'em up. Turtles Hyperstone Heist. Brilliant. Really enjoyed this. Me and Jay played it together. We played co-op on it, and we got up to, I think, in hindsight now, I think it was the second last level or the last level, and we got killed, and then he lost interest and he buggered off. So I went back on it and I did finish it. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and this came from Jordy Slasher. So thank you very much for that, because that's an absolutely class game. Next one is another one of those games that kind of exploded in price for the 360, and it's Ridge Racer 6. Fantastic, brilliant, absolutely class. I'm really enjoying my arcade racers, and this was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. But I was talking to Lost Bar Hall when I did finish this, and like I seen the credits, I got to the finishing line and everything. The credits rolled, loved it, and then he said, but there's so much more to it. And like, he's right, because once the credits finished, it said now you've unlocked this, that, the next thing, and it's a massive game, absolutely massive. So I need to go back and play some more of it. But the credits rolled, so I'm counting that as a finish, and I did really enjoy it. Next one's a PSP game. Actually, I need to get it's sitting there. I need to put it back in, and it's Loco Roco. It's an absolute classic staple for the PSP. Brilliant game, brilliant music, cutesy graphics. It's just a little joy to play, to be honest with you. It's just, you don't really get bored of it. It's just kind of, it's nice, it's not difficult. You just kind of like roll your way through the levels, bounce and hop, and yeah, brilliant game. Definitely recommend Loco Roco. And there's a sequel as well, but I've not played that. Next one here we got from Jim Corbana. So he picked up a double of this game and I was all over it. I was like, I need it, I want it. I remember it from back in the day, and it's Exhumed. Brilliant game, absolutely brilliant game. And when I received it from him, it was just brilliant. And I told my two brothers, and they were pretty excited. They don't want to play it, but they were like, oh man, remember that game. But it's just so cool. And I mean, as soon as I loaded it up and started playing it, the gunshots, sound effects, the sound effects of the wee scorpions, everything just flooded, nostalgia just flooded straight into my head. I absolutely loved it. I played through it, bloody solid again. Like Dark Forces, it's solid. It's such a tough game, but brilliant, absolutely loved it. So Jim Cabana, thank you very much for that. Next one we got through was, this was maybe around Father's Day now, and I got the Sega Mega Drive collection cart for my Switch. So I played through Sonic, the first Sonic, Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is the best Sonic by far, but I just really wanted to play the first one, and it was really quick to play through. Really enjoyed it. I think I didn't do it in one sitting. I think I had to go back to it. So maybe I used a save state. I don't know. Maybe I cheated with it, but I'm sure I can. I'm sure I could play it through in one go. This copy's all tatty, rotten. Next one is a Final Fantasy game that doesn't get the love it deserves. I think it's, as Final Fantasies go, I think this is maybe my second favourite Final Fantasy, maybe third favourite. And it's Final Fantasy XII, Zodiac Age. It's brilliant, it's so good, and it's just, it's testament to like the PS2 game, because this is essentially the PS2 game, but it's got obviously better graphics and stuff, and it still looks amazing. It still looks absolutely fantastic. I loved it, loved it, loved it. I loaded up my PS2 file just to have a wee look, so I've still got the memory card for it, and I think I was on 156 hours or something on my PS2 account from 20 years ago or something like that. But Final Fantasy XII is excellent, excellent game. Highly recommended if people were put off by it at the start when it first came out, because it's got kind of like a different battle system, but brilliant, absolutely love it. I don't really know what else to say. I think like Fran and Balthier, I think they're absolutely class duo double act. Van and Pinello, a bit annoying, but you always get that with Final Fantasy characters, don't you? Like some of them just annoy the life out of you. But yeah, fantastic, love Final Fantasy XII. Next up we've got Bionic Commando. I'm trying to remember who was talking about this back then. I think it might have been, I think it was Champion 2D Rob, mentioning how, I think he said he liked it but it was a missed opportunity. I think that's what he said, or he would like to see it again remade. But anyway, more recently, Lame Dad, was it Lame Dad? Jesus Christ, I'm forgetting who's posting about things. I think he posted it on Twitter. It's a really, I didn't mind this game. It was good enough. It was good at what it did. Kind of jumping about, swinging around with a big bionic arm and stuff, and it was alright. It was definitely playable and good enough to see through to the end. Resident Evil Revelations. So, trying to think. Heaps covered this, but he covered it on the Wii U because he wanted to show off the kind of the Wii U gamepad functionality of it. This is really good, really good. On the boat, you control Jill, and then I'm sure, is it Chris? Chris comes towards the end of it, but he's been on like a wild goose chase looking for this boat, and it's just class. It's got really, it's the combat, the controls is really good. It's obviously not tank controls from the original 1, 2 and 3. Everything has moved on since then, since Resident Evil 4. So yeah, brilliant game. The Conduit 2. This was a wee bit of a pricey game actually. I can't remember when I got it. Conduit 2 for the Wii. It is good. I think I preferred the first one, to be honest with you, because the second one, it just added, like the main character, is it John? I think his name was John. It's a very generic name. But like in the first one, he was quite silent, didn't talk or anything like that. But then this one, and my little brother made a point that during this kind of time, this kind of era, that everybody had to be like a smart arse, and everybody had to make wisecracking jokes and everything, and that's exactly like this. Like he just changed kind of character halfway through, and it's the thing is though, the whole point of the Conduit games is not about the characters and the story, it's just about shooting and shit like that. But that just really annoyed me and stuck with me. That is good though, it's good, but I did prefer the first one, to be honest. Next one is my first ever Tales of game. It's Tales of Zysteria. Love this. I was really looking for something to scratch that RPG itch after Final Fantasy XII, because I had already done Final Fantasy XII, and I loved it again. I loved it back then. I loved it again. But I wanted to play an RPG that I hadn't played before. So Zysteria. This was really cheap in the game. I think it was only like £6 or something like that. So I grabbed that and worked my way through it, and it was really cool. You know, the graphics are amazing. The story is really deep as well. You get to control this wee guy, and then he can see all the kind of like the gods, spirits. All these spirits kind of follow him around and things like that. He's the chosen one. He's a shepherd. So he's got to overthrow the big bad in the game, and he can see all the kind of spirits, and they talk to him and all that, and it's just really cool, really cool. Next one was Star Wars Force Unleashed. Love this. This was absolutely fantastic. I've had it in the collection for a long time. It's one of those games that I would bring out but then put back on the shelf, and bring out and put back on the shelf. But this was really cool. I think I'm trying to remember the main guy in it. I can't even remember his name, but he is voiced by, and like his face and everything is Deacon St. John from Days Gone. But I really did enjoy this. I need to play the second one. I think I played maybe three or four Star Wars games, and this one was right up there. Next one we've done was Killzone Shadowfall. So again, this is one of those games that has always been on the shelf, and I've just kind of brought it out, put it back in. But I love this. I absolutely love this game. Pardon me. I don't think it got good ratings. I think maybe got like a 7s or 6s out of 10. But I thought it was fantastic. I thought the graphics were brilliant. I thought the world was brilliant. There's a lot of cool dialogue in it as well. The locations are fantastic. The shooting, excellent. It doesn't really, for me, it didn't really put a foot wrong. But it's not like a massive game where it will take you back and everything. But I really enjoyed it, and it's really cheap, and it's definitely one people should play, and not just discard it and disown it straight off the bat. Good game. Next one, I put so many hours into this. This could be the most played game I've played all year, because I actually got it on the Switch on the eShop, and it's Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. But obviously in the Switch it's Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. Excellent game, absolutely fantastic. I think I'm like 70% through the Switch, so now all I have to do is get the golds and things like that and beat all the scores, and it does get really tough towards the end, but it's fantastic. The handling's great, there's a great soundtrack, and again, it just doesn't do anything wrong. It does everything that it does well. Really enjoyed Hot Pursuit, and still enjoying it actually. I do still play it now and again. The next one is from Ross Bahaha, and I made a wee case for it, even though it's absolutely dog shite, but I made it anyway. And it is Castlevania Curse of the Moon. So for the DS, and I played it on the DS that here it is here. Kevin Wolford made for me. Well, yeah, he did make it. I got him the parts and he put it all together. actually in the DS just now is Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, but the one that I played was Can I show you? Was Castlevania. Oh my god, forgetting the names. Circle of the Moon. Good game, really good game. I've played 3 Castlevanias this year, and the thing that I get from Castlevania games is they're all very similar, all very good, but they're all very in the similar kind of vein. But I did enjoy it. It was good. The graphics are fantastic on the Game Boy Advance as well. The next one I played was Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition. So this is for the Switch. Really good game again. Absolutely gorgeous graphics. It's really sad as well, especially right at the start. I did enjoy this. Mark at Jolly Slasher said I had to play this, and he loved it as well. I'm not sure if he played it on the Xbox or if he played it on the Switch, but yeah, really enjoyed that. And I've got the sequel. What is it? Will of the Wisps. Will of the Wisps. I've got that on Xbox One, so I still need to get through it. I still need to go on to that one. Next one is Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. Really cool. This is made by BioWare, which is quite weird. It's a Sonic RPG game. It's a lot better than it sounds. It's got, you have to use the stylus quite a lot. Yeah, I didn't mind it that much. I just thought it was a bit, again, it was a bit like when I was playing Force Gemini. I just wanted to be finished with it, but I enjoyed it up to a certain point, and then I just felt like it was just getting a bit boring, to be honest. But I enjoyed it for the most part. There's nice levels, nice kind of overworld kind of thing. It's all kind of hand drawn, like in the overworld, and then you go into the battles and it's 3D, but you've got to do like little motions with your wee stylus to perform special moves. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Next one is a bona fide classic in my eyes anyway, and it's Onimusha. So again, I played this on the Switch because it was going for really cheap on the store, so I snapped it up and finished it in like 2 or 3 hours. It was just one of those games that even back in the day when I was playing this one, you could just chuck it on and just smash your way through it. Absolutely brilliant. I'm looking at going through the rest of the games actually, because I don't remember much about 2. My little brother's got 2 actually, and then 3 was brilliant with Jean Reno from Leon. That was a brilliant game, and that still has one of the best CGI opening gate cinematics of any game. Onimusha 3, but Onimusha 1 is a classic game. Next one, this one really took me by surprise. It is World of Final Fantasy Maxima. So this is for the Switch, and it's the kind of the full version, so it's the full fat. It's got all the kind of DLC and stuff like that, and I absolutely loved this game. I bloody loved it. It was so good. The thing that I really liked about it was A, it wasn't hard at all. It was quite an easy game, and B, just all the little throwbacks and all the little nostalgic kind of mentions and stuff like that from old Final Fantasies. When I say old Final Fantasy, I mean from Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's kind of my kind of knowledge of Final Fantasy. But even when they were talking about Final Fantasy 6 and the original Final Fantasy and all that sort of stuff, I still knew who the characters were. I've never played them all the way through, but I know who they were, and it was cool who they kind of partnered people up with. It's really different and a really good game. I highly recommend that if anybody ever has the opportunity to play that. Next game, so this can be 2 games I guess, is Metro 2033 and then Metro Last Light Redux. So I didn't play that one, I played them both on this and loved it, absolutely loved it, and I've got Exodus still to play. But I've heard Exodus is a bit of an open world. I don't know. My little brother said it's a lot broader in scope. So maybe I'll give it a wee miss at the moment. But I really enjoy these, because these are the kind of first person shooters that I do enjoy. The kind of, like Singularity, I like the narrative driven gameplay and linear. Like, I like to get through a story and I like to be part of the story, and this was, as a double pack, fantastic. Loved it. Sorry, back on that. Generation Pixel, you have to give that a go. I'm sure you picked it up recently. It's absolutely class. You will love it. Next one again. So this is like this game is completely new to me, and it's Indivisible on the Xbox One. This is fantastic. The graphics are gorgeous, like hand drawn. I don't know if you can see that, if I'm doing it any justice. But the graphics are amazing. There's loads and loads of characters to kind of unlock as well. It's a 2D scrolling platformer RPG. It's just really cool. Like, that doesn't really sell it that well, I don't think, because it is really in depth, because there's loads of different characters and things like that. And being on a 2D plane, there's not much exploring. Well, you wouldn't think there was, but there really is. It's a really cool game. This is one of those kind of games that I think, who'd you call them? Chicken Fillets. I think he would love this game. I think he'd lap it up. He needs to give this a go. Like I said, the graphics are just fantastic. Hand drawn, beautiful, colourful, class. Really enjoyed that. This is a game that I finished last year, and then I finished this year again, because I just loved it, and I just wanted that kind of hack and slash kind of action. And I love the setting of it. I love the kind of journey you go through, and it's Dantes Inferno. Brilliant game. It's just so good. It's such a good game, and it was passed up by a lot of people because it was a God of War clone, and people just thought, nah, I'm not playing that shite. But honestly, it's so good. This is back when EA were making good games, all visceral EA, so like during the kind of, what you call it, Dead Space days, you know, this game out, brilliant. I can't recommend this enough. It's just so good. If anyone has passed it by just because it's a God of War clone, don't. You should play it. It's so good. Arguably the best game that I've played this year was a Ross Bar Haw Haw recommendation, and it's Big Bobby Race Car. Big Bobby Car, the big race. I remember he was streaming this one night at like bloody 2 in the morning. He must have been pissed out his head. But when I was watching him play this, I thought, you know what, that doesn't look like a terrible game. That looks okay, and for what it is okay. It does its job. It does what it's meant to do. It's just not aimed for mine and Ross's age bracket. I think it's aimed for like a 7-year-old, but I finished it anyway. I didn't even go back to the platinum, and I feel so ashamed that I didn't go back to the platinum. So maybe I have to rectify that. Next one, another Star Wars game, and this was phenomenal. This is the best Star Wars game I played this year, and probably the best Star Wars game out there until the sequel comes out, and that is Fallen Order. I was always put off this for a long time. For the longest time I was put off this because my brother said it's Star Wars, it's Dark Souls Star Wars, and I was like, nah, I'm not playing that, no chance. But when I did play it, I absolutely loved it. It's not as hard as Dark Souls. Dark Souls is like, I'm not into them games because I just can't bloody do them. But this, it might have elements of Dark Souls, but it's not as hard as Dark Souls. I'll tell you that right now. But this is absolutely brilliant. You control Cal Kestis, and you're going through his journey of he was a Jedi, but then he went into hiding, and then I can't really do the story justice because Star Wars stories are mental, round and round kind of things. But I just really loved it. It's so good. And the Wii bot, I feel so annoyed I can't remember the bot's name. Oh, that's so annoying me now. But the Wii bot is so adorable and cute, and he's just class. He's probably the best droid like Star Wars have ever done. If you can see him just there on Cal's back, he was brilliant. Oh, that's so annoying me, I don't remember his name. Next one, so this is the first game that I played for Spooky October. It is medieval, so a PlayStation classic, a game, and look at this fucking CEX stickers, I hate them. I never played the original before, but I always kind of wanted to, and I'm glad that I'm glad that I didn't, so I could play like this. So this is kind of like, this is the vision of what they wanted medieval to be. Like, it's just brilliant. Obviously the PS1's a classic and all the rest of it, but when it's all HD'd up and the graphics are made as good as they are, you know, surely you'd want to play this one over the original one. But that's just my opinion. I've never played the original one, so I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Sardan Fortescue, beating up all the kind of undead enemies and things like that. But yeah, this was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Next one is Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Excellent game. So this is a reimagining or a retelling of the first Silent Hill. So you play as Harry Mason again. You're looking for Cheryl. You're looking for your daughter. But it's so different. It's so different. Like, it's a reimagining of the first game, but it's not like a shot for shot of the first game, if that makes sense. This is a running essentially this is a running simulator, a walking stroke running simulator. That might put people off, but it's so good. It's so bloody good. And when you start getting chased by the beasties, oh, that's, yeah, that puts you at the edge of your seat. Definitely recommend. And I think the PS2, I think this is a cheaper version than the PS2, and I do think that the Wii version may be the best version to play, to be honest. Not just because I've only played it, but I think it just is. Through the Wiimote you can use it as like a phone. You dial in your phone number or whatever on the screen, and then somebody talks to you in the Wiimote. It's kind of cool. Next one is The Darkness II. This game is class. Utter class. I really enjoyed this, and I really preferred it to the first one, because I remember playing the first one and I felt like the first one's good, the first one's really good, but it just felt like you were in this big hub world and you went off to your missions, but it almost felt like back in the day, like everything had to have hub worlds, and everything had to be open world, and everything had to be marker point here, there and everywhere, and I felt that's what The Darkness 1 was. Whereas this one is just a very straightforward, boom, down the middle, narrative, linear shooter. And graphically, it's a lot better as well. The music's a lot better. The first one had better kind of darkness powers, I think. But this one, I just think this is a better game. I really do. Next up, we've got... Oh, that shouldn't be in there. Next we've got is Resident Evil Revelations 2. So I finished the first one a wee while before this, and then went on to number 2. Number 2, I think, is actually better than the first one. Not that it's a competition between the two, but I just think playing as Claire, and then you get to play as Barry's daughter as well, and that's just really cool. One thing I would say is, so when I was playing, way back in the day we were playing Resident Evil 1, and obviously Barry Burton's in that, and I just thought Barry Burton was so cool in Resident Evil 1, like just a big badass. And I've always kind of wanted to play as Barry Burton. Since Resident Evil 1, I've always wanted to kind of play as Barry Burton. And Barry Burton's not as badass as I thought he was. Like, he's still badass, but I just thought he'd be a lot more kind of I don't know. He just seems a bit broken, but still cool, and yeah. Love a bit of Barry Burton. Next one, this was a gift from Eddie, Roller X-Core, and it is the Japanese version of Symphony of the Night. Unfortunately, this didn't work on my Saturn. I just think my Saturn's goosed, to be honest with you. But I did, when I got this, I went and played it on the PS4, so I finished it again on the PS4. I finished it last year on the PSP. I played through the one playthrough, and then this year I played it on the PS4, and I played through the playthrough, and then I went and done the upside down, the inverted upside down tower, and it was, playing that was like playing a whole new game. Like, there's so many new enemies, so many more bosses. It just adds a whole new layer to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and I never knew that. I just finished it. I finished the one playthrough, and then that was it for me last year. But now going back and playing the inverted tower, upside down castle, well, I can't remember what it's called, then yeah, it just added so much more. Absolutely class. Next one, Man of Medan. So this is only the second dark pictures anthology that I've played, so I think I did prefer Little Hope more than I liked this one, only because I preferred the Little Hope's creatures. I preferred the creature design and the kind of story of the kind of the creatures in Little Hope. This was still cool because this gave me obviously the kind of Ghost Ship, that movie Ghost Ship vibe, obviously because you're on a big ghost ship, but that was really kind of cool, and the kind of setting was really nice. But in what you call it, Little Hope, I really liked the kind of backstory of the kind of ghost, the beasties and things like that a little bit more, but still I really did enjoy that. Next one was Mass Effect. This was class. I finished the trilogy, but I'll go through them in a wee minute. This obviously sets the groundwork, sets the tone of everything, so you get to meet all the kind of the big players and the different races, and it's just so cool because you get to carry your character on throughout the 3 different games. But yeah, this was so good to kind of to get you ready and get you cemented in the kind of world for the next 2 games to come. Next one I played was Saw 2. I did enjoy this. I've heard the first one is a lot better, so I'm quite keen to play the first one as well. I mean, this is Rob Gurnaldinho loves his Saw games, so I'm sure he saw everything, saw movies, saw games. I'm sure he's played this one already. But I did really enjoy it. I thought it was really kind of cool. I thought some of the traps were a bit infuriating, actually, to be honest with you. It's quite annoying, but it was good. And obviously the Saw music is just class. I loved it. Next one, Dead Space Extraction. Again, really enjoyed this, but I was a little bit disappointed because where's the gun? So I got the gun to play this game, and I was a little bit disappointed with it. The game's brilliant. I really enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the kind of I enjoyed being back in that world and killing necromorphs, and it's a lot better. It's not a lot better, but it's really cool. Shooting them as a kind of light gun kind of game, and taking off the limbs, like go for the limbs, take off the limbs, brilliant. But when I was playing it, it was, so you've got your kind of your wee thing like this, and you got your kind of motion, your control stick here. But there was just too many times you had to come up here and press these buttons as well, so it kind of took your hand off of there. And yeah, I just ditched that and just played it with the Wiimote and the nunchuck, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So after that, we played Mass Effect 2. Fantastic. Like I said, you going from the first one where it kind of cements the world and everything, the universe, then moving on to this one, and you have to kind of recruit a team. You have to recruit a massive team and go on a big final mission. And I can't really delve into that too much, but once you've got all your characters, once you've got all your kind of people with you to go on this mission, it's utter class. I don't even know what to say. But what I will say is Pete Fighter 2, so he was talking in the chat, and he said to go through Mass Effect 2 in particular, I think it was, go through Mass Effect 2 with a guide so you can get all your characters, so you can do the right thing and get through the second part and go into the third part all ready to go, or whatever it was he said. But I didn't do that. I didn't listen to his advice, and he said there's going to be consequences, and he was quite right, because at the end of Mass Effect 2 there was only 4 of us left. I don't know if I'm not really giving, people know about the end of Mass Effect 2 by now, don't they? So there was only 4 people left on my crew, and that was including Shepard, so it was including me, so yeah. But again, that was my experience with it, that was my playthrough, that was my Mass Effect story to that point. Oh Christ. And here it is, the game of the year, in my opinion, God of War Ragnarok. Absolutely fantastic, and I can't fault it in the slightest. I can't fault it in the slightest. I understand the Elden Ring got the Game of the Year at the Game Awards, which is brilliant, because I know the Elden Ring's a class game. It's just not a game for me. Like I can't play them kind of games. But God of War for me was just the pinnacle. The whole production behind the God of War, then God of War Ragnarok, as a whole package as well, particularly, is just fantastic. Second to none. I absolutely loved it. I don't want to get too much into it, but there are some people that I've read like a lot of things on Twitter and things like that, and this is not at Heaps, because me and Heaps had a little kind of thing, but it's not. I'm not talking about Heaps. But a lot of people were saying like, it's just more of the same, and I don't buy that argument. I don't like that argument, because everything is more of the same. Like, I don't know, what were they expecting a first person shooter when they're going to play this? Of course it's going to be the same. It's the continuation of the first game. I don't want to get into it, because I get really, really passionate when I talk about God of War, and when people say things like it's just more of the same. It's a nonsense and a redundant remark when it comes to God of War Ragnarok. Of course it's more of the same. They're not going to change it. It's not going to be an arcade racer. It's God of War. Anyway, moving on. Best game of the year, in my opinion. Glad I got that out. Next one, Town of Light. So this came from Feed Me Chicken. He asked me if I'd played this before, and it was funny actually. He messaged me and said, "Have you played Child of Light before?" I was like, "Oh no, I've played a bit of that. I had it digitally at one point. That's the one where they all speak in rhymes." And he was like, "No, that's not what I'm talking about." I was like, "Aye, Child of Light. Child of Light is the one. It's kind of like an RPG, 2D." And then he showed me a picture of this, and he was like, "Ah shit, I meant to say Town of Light." Funny. But anyway, Town of Light, class game, absolutely class. This game, it only lasts for maybe 3 hours to do your playthrough. A little bit longer if you're going to go for the full 1000G, which I think Chicken Man did actually. He played it until he got everything in it. And it's just really, really cool. It goes through, it's mad, it's a walking simulator, but it grabs you and really pulls you in. And it kind of explores the state or the extremities of dealing, of the oh my god, I can't speak. The extremities of how they used to deal with mental health back in the 30s or 40s, I think it was. Was it after the World War? But anyway, it was just mad, and oh, the bit with the lobotomy, oh my god, it's so... It's not a horror game, but it's psychologically it's quite messed up, and it's good. It's a good game. It's a really cool story and definitely worth playing through. Next one is the last Castlevania I played this year, and it's Castlevania Curse of Darkness. Really enjoyed this. I really did enjoy this. I don't know if what I was expecting from it. I think Eddie Roller Escort said it's what did he say? Symphony Night Part 2. Symphony Night 3D, I think he said it was. It's just class. It's utter class. You don't play as any of the Belmonts or anything like that. You play as Hector, and he's a demon form. What do you call him? A demon. I can't remember. Devil Forge. Is that what you call them? Anyway, a Forge Master. There we go, Forge Master. So you get to have these little demons with you, and they evolve and things like that, and that's your kind of, I think similar to Symphony of the Night, you got familiars. That's kind of like the innocent devils they're called in this. Those are the little kind of extra characters you get with it. Loved it. Really, really, really good fun. And I know there's one more Castlevania on the PS2, so I'm going to have a wee look out for that and try and get that one as well. And I think it was just called Castlevania. It didn't have a subtitle. It was just Castlevania. But I really enjoyed that. That was really good. Next one, I was sticking with Konami, and I went on to Zone of the Enders Second Runner. This is class. This is an utter class game. And the thing is, though, actually, I was posting pictures on Twitter, and Dad and Lads Marcus mentioned you can play it on the PS4 in VR, which is, I'm pretty sure I have tried it, but you can only play in first person in the VR. But I just really like looking at Jehuti. Jehuti is a class mech design, and I didn't really like it in first person view. But looking back on it, I should have played it at least on the PS3 with the HD remaster, because as good as this is, I love it. Absolutely brilliant. And the graphics are stunning, especially for a PS2. It's got like anime cutscenes, and then just balls out action, mech action. But the thing is, on the PS2, it does suffer from slowdown, so I think I should have played it on the PS3 or the PS4 actually. But I still really enjoyed it. It didn't take anything away from me, to be honest. And then closing off the Mass Effect trilogy, Mass Effect 3. I think this was my favourite Mass Effect. I really do. I did enjoy Mass Effect 2. I thought Mass Effect 2 was excellent, and it's a lot of people's favourite. But I thoroughly enjoyed this one. This one was so good, especially towards the end. So instead of recruiting a team in Mass Effect 2, in this you're recruiting an army or an armada. You need to get everybody in the universe on the same page. You have to get them all together to go and fight the Reapers, because the Reapers are going to, like, they are an extinction event. Ripping a term from Death Stranding. The Reapers are an extinction event, and you have to stop them. If you don't stop them, it's game over for everybody. So you've got to get everybody, every single species has got to come together. And there's still there's choices in this game that I think I made wrong as well. Like, I don't think I got the best endings in Mass Effect 2 and 3, to be honest. But again, they were my endings were exactly how I played the game and exactly how I seen it out. I remember there was no, in fact, I won't say that because people might want to play it. But anyway, I absolutely love it, and I can't recommend Mass Effect games enough. They're so good. Next one I played was I think it's still on the computer, the console. Clonoa. So this was from Eddie at Roller X-Core again. I love this. Absolutely loved. Again, I played this on the PSP last year. Because I think it was last year there was this big concern. I mentioned this before as well, that the PS3 store was shutting down. So a lot of people were downloading a lot of games from the PS3 store. Blah blah blah. So I grabbed a couple of games from the PS1 classics, because the PS1 games physically are just extortionate. So I got Clonoa, I got Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I got Future Cop PD, I got Legacy of Kain Blood Omen. But anyway, I got Clonoa and I played that last year on the PSP. And then I played it this year on this, and I still think it's a gorgeous, beautiful, nice little 2.5D platformer. It's not too difficult. It's quite an easy game to finish, but I think when it comes to collecting everything, it gets a little bit more complicated and a little bit more difficult. But I really did enjoy this. Class. And happy to get that now in the collection too, so that's cool. And then a game that I've just finished today, and it's brilliant. I can't fault it again. It's a Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's exactly what you'd expect from a Ratchet and Clank game. It feels like a Disney Pixar or a DreamWorks movie. It's just brilliant, and it's just the voice acting, the worlds that you go to, the weapons are so vast and so cool. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and it's the first PS5 game that I played. Like the first actual PS5 game. I don't think there's that many. I think we're talking about that. Maybe there's like maybe 10 PS5 exclusive games. Not exclusive, but sorry, current gen games. There's not that many, but this is definitely one of them, and it was absolutely class. It's the first time I've used the DualSense controller, and it was an absolute joy to use. I loved using that controller. I loved the feedback from the triggers. Like, I remember hearing about that and like reading about haptic triggers and things like that, and then trying to imagine them. I didn't really understand like how it would feel, but once you feel it and once you play it, it's different class. It's a different step. It's just brilliant. The haptic triggers and things like that. But yeah, Ratchet & Clank, absolutely class. So that was my 52 game challenge plus. So we went up to 73, actually 72 physical. And I'm going to do another video maybe in the new year, and I'll go through the digital games that I played in 2022 as well. So anyway, that was a bloody long video, and I do apologise, but thanks anyway if anyone did watch, and cheers. Catch you later. Bye bye.